Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees. We thank you all for being here. We are still waiting for our speaker. He was here, I guess. So we'll see. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. Today we have His Grace JNANA PRABHU who will be speaking to us. And I'm seeing he has quite a number of his members with us today. That's awesome, beautiful. Shri Jan Prabhu, if you're ready, we'll put the verse on the screen and then you will take it over.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
To our Krishna dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, and all glories to all of you. So you're all welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam discuss. I'm very pleased to be here. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 6, verse number 46. So we read the Sanskrit together. The Sanskrit says, I'll read the Sanskrit alone because if I say to repeat, it's going to give us a lot of feedback. So it says, Pradaya to yan rasha amananti lila vataran puru sasya naha apiyatam karana Kashava Shoshan Anukramisye Ta Imam Supeshahan. So the word for word, the translation says, "O Narada, now I shall relate or I shall state one after another the transcendental incarnations of the Lord known as Lila avatars. Hearing of their activities counteract all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart." I will take it again. "O Narada, now I shall state one after another the transcendental incarnations of the Lord, known as Lila avatars. Hearing of their activities counteract all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart." Srila Prabhupada's purport. As it was said in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse number 8, one cannot be fully satisfied by hearing unless and until one is given a chance to hear of the transcendental activities of the Lord. So Brahmaji is also trying in this verse to stress the importance of narrating the transcendental pastimes of the Lord as he comes and manifests himself here on the surface of the material planets. Every living entity has a tendency to hear pleasing messages. And as such, almost every one of us is inclined to hear news and talks broadcast by the radio stations. But the difficulty is that no one is satisfied at heart by hearing all those messages. The cause of such dissatisfaction is the incompatibility of the message with the innermost stratum of the living soul. This transcendental literature is especially prepared by Sri Vyasadeva to give the utmost satisfaction to the people in general. by narration of the activities of the Lord, as instructed by Sri Narada Muni to Sri Vyasadeva. Such activities of the Lord are principally of two varieties. One concerns the mundane manifestation of the material creative force, and the other deals with his pastimes in the form of different incarnations in terms of the time and place. There are innumerable incarnations of the Lord, like the waves of the river flowing constantly in and out. Less intelligent persons take more interest in the creative force of the Lord in the material world, and being disconnected from their lordship with the Lord, and being disconnected from their relationship with the Lord, they put forward theories in the name of scientific research. The devotees of the Lord, however, know well how the creative force work concurrently by the action and reaction of the material energy of the Lord. Therefore, they take more interest in the transcendental activities of the Lord as he incarnates himself on the surface of the material world. Srimad Bhagavatam is a history of such activities of the Lord. And people who take interest in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam clear their hearts of accumulated mundane filth. There are 1,001 rush literatures on the market. The one who has taken interest in the Srimad Bhagavatam loses all interest in such filthy literatures. Sri Brahmaji is thus attempting to narrate the principal incarnations of the Lord so that they may be drunk by Narada as transcendental nectar. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Purusha Shukta, confirmed. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jana Jana Salakaya Chakshu Amlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutare Shri Mate Kavichandra Swami Tinamini. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutare Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Narvasisa Sunyabadi Vakshatiya Disatarini. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adwaita Gadadara Shri Basari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Canto 2, chapter 6, verse 46 says, sorry, 1 minute. Prabhu, can you go back so that I can see it? Because mine has gone back. I want to see the text. Okay, let me take the only translation, Prabhu. Oh, Narada, now I shall state one after another the transcendental incarnations of the Lord known as Lila avatars. Hearing of their activities counteracts all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart. So, thank you very much once again for coming. We have so many great devotees on the platform. So I will seek for their permission to speak. So, dear devotees, dear senior devotees, please allow me, permit me to speak. In fact, this conversation is between Lord Brahma, who is the creator of this our world, this our universe, and Narada Muni, who is a great sage, a very powerful sadhu. So Lord Brahma is saying that the Supreme Lord possesses so many forms, so many incarnations. So many incarnations. And the information about the incarnation of the Supreme Lord is so pleasing to the heart and the ears. And he's ready to narrate the prominent ones to Narada Muni. So those of you who are very new to this platform, there is a little story behind this. So give me just a minute, let me narrate this so that you have an idea of what we're talking about. There are so many scriptures, so many uncountable scriptures. And the oldest of all these scriptures are called the Vedas. And the Vedas literally means knowledge. And within the Vedas, we have so many compartments, so many branches of the Vedas, uncountable of them. And all these scriptures were compiled by a very great sage, a very powerful man of God. His name is Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is a disciple of Narada Muni. And Vyasadeva, after compiling all these scriptures, like I'm telling you, the oldest scriptures of the world, after compiling all of them, he was still not happy. He was not happy and he still felt empty, that something was missing in his heart. So Vyasadeva, this powerful sage, powerful sadhu, a powerful prophet or a messenger of God, he approached his spiritual master, who is Narada Muni, and he said, "My dear Guru Maharaj, I have written everything about the world, the creation, everything that is so important to humanity. I have done that. I have compiled everything into form that people can read to benefit themselves. But I still feel empty. Something is missing within me. That even though I have achieved so much in writing, I still not so happy. Something is missing within me." So Narada Muni, who is a spiritual master of Sri Vyasadeva, said, "Yes, my dear Vyasadeva, you've done so well by writing so many books, scriptural books, that will help. But you have not discussed the personality of God. You have not in detail explained the real information of the Supreme Lord that will be able to give nectar to the ears of the hearers. That is why, even though you have done so much, but you still feel empty. So if you want to feel satisfied or fulfilled, then you must compile information about Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his pastimes, his dealings with his devotees. So when you're able to do this, then you'll be very happy." So Vyasadeva sat down and he compiled all the beautiful information about the Supreme Lord into one book called the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the ripening fruit of all the Vedic literatures. So now, Vyasadeva learned the Srimad Bhagavatam from his spiritual master, who is Narada Muni. Narada Muni also heard this beautiful narration of the Lord from his own father, Brahma. And Lord Brahma, he is the creator of this, our universe. Not just this, our planet. Lord Brahma, he is the creator of the whole universe. So those of you that are very new here, let me explain this. Because from our Christian background, our Islamic background, all that we know is that God created everything. So the truth is that God Almighty, the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that being who has no beginning, no end, and no middle, that personality who is beyond this material universe, He does not directly create. Anytime the Lord wants to create, the Lord expands himself into another expansion. And from that expansion, there is another expansion. And from those expansions, there will be another expansion, all the way to another expansion. And from there, a personality is born. And that personality, the name is Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, he is the creator of the whole material universe. God is too busy with his devotees in the spiritual world. God is so intimate with his associate in the spiritual world. He doesn't want to directly get involved with creation of the material world. So when he wants to create, he expands himself. And from that expansion, more expansions comes about. And from one of these expansions, Lord Brahma takes birth. And Lord Brahma begins creation of the material universe. So Lord Brahma is the one that narrated the Srimad Bhagavatam to his own son, Narada Muni. And Narada Muni also narrated the same thing to his disciple, Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva, after writing everything in this material world, every information given in the Vedas, he was so not happy. He approached his spiritual master, Narada Muni. He complained that I think I have done so much, but I don't know why I feel so empty. I feel so unsatisfied. Then the spiritual master told him, it's just because you have not compiled information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's when Vyasadeva compiled this whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So now Brahma is telling his son Narada Muni that I want to tell you about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So here is it. Those of us who are Christians and Muslims, many a times our understanding about God is very, very limited. Because I have gone to many, many radio programs, TV shows, and you ask the pastor, how does God look like? And the immediate answer that comes is, God is spirit. So God is spirit means God cannot be seen. Okay? They'll tell you God is spirit, which means God cannot be seen. But the fact that God is spirit doesn't mean God cannot be seen. Because in the Bible, in Revelation, John said he had a vision of the spiritual world. There was a throne set there, and someone sat on the throne. The person was blazing with effulgence that it was not even possible to look at him. So if God have us to sit on the throne, it means that he possesses legs, hands, head, and then at the end of the day, God possesses a body. Don't forget in the same Bible where it said that we were created in the image and the likeness of God, which means that exactly how you look like, God possesses something of a sort. Many a time people say God has no form. Then I tell them, if God has no form, then we are more powerful than God, or we are superior to God because we possess form. And God doesn't, which means that we have something that God doesn't. So God possesses a form. If God doesn't have any form, then it means that we are superior to him. Because we possess something that God doesn't have, that will tell you that God is inferior to us. How is it possible to give somebody 100 Ghana cedis if you, the giver, don't have at least 100 Ghana cedis? You can give somebody 100 Ghana cedis, which means that at least you possess 100 Ghana cedis. So how is it possible that God gave us a body, a form, and God himself doesn't have a form? So God can be seen in many, many ways, and his supreme existence is a personality. He possesses a form like ours. So in the Purpose, the purpose said that in this material world, everybody wants to hear some message. Every now and then, we want to hear some message. So we have to tune in into the radio station. We have to tune into the TV set and then try. We need some information. Every now and then we want to hear something. Because we want to feel satisfied by hearing. But unfortunately, after hearing all these news, after reading all these newspapers, so we are not satisfied. Because the fact of the matter is that we are not this body, but we are spirit souls. And that spirit soul does not take any interest in these material stuff. All these material messages that we think that will make us happy does not nourish the spirit soul within us. Our body gets nourished by taking food, water, sleep, rest. Our body needs these things. That is why it is very difficult for us to live without food. It is very difficult for us to live without water. It is not very easy to live without sleeping. And it is very, very, very dangerous if you live without taking rest. Our body needs these things to survive. But the living soul within you does not get nourishment from these aforementioned stuff that I just mentioned. The soul within you also get nourished with the information or the message about God Almighty. So this material world nourishes the gross body, but if we want to get our soul nourished, we must hear messages like this. We must hear message about the Supreme Lord. We must hear the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These messages will give us pleasure. It will give us nourishment and satisfaction. If not, we can possess everything in this material world, but still, there will never be satisfaction to the soul because our soul does not get nourished with these material things. Some of us here, our hankerings are the fact that we are renting houses. Maybe we are renting one single room, and the single room is not very comfortable to us. So we are making plans of getting, say, a chamber and hall. So at times, we think that, okay, if I'm able to get chamber and hall with the toilet and bath and the kitchen, everything inside, not like this, I have to go out there to go and ease myself. I have to go and bath outside. I have to go and cook outside. If I can have chamber and hall self-contained where I have everything in there, I'll be very happy. I'll be very satisfied. Somehow or the other, we get these things. And as soon as we get these things, we become very happy, thinking that this happiness is going to continue. But after a very short time, we start hankering or thinking of something better. That this chamber and hall self-contained is still not enough. I'm living in a compound house. Everybody will have access to whatever you do. When your girlfriend is coming to, your boyfriend is coming to, everybody is seeing whatever you cook in your house, everybody is seeing what is happening there. So I think that if I can have my own private house with a private wall where I live there, I know maybe some 3 bedrooms that I'm only the person there. In the chamber and hall, probably you guys are sharing the electricity meter. Every month we have to be fighting because somebody said me, I don't have anything in my room. I have only 1 bulb, but the person having heater is hiding it. The person having electric iron is hiding it. At the end of the month, you end up paying so much money because somebody doesn't want to pay. So you feel, okay, it's still troubling. Even though I'm living in chamber and hall, self-contained, toilet is there, I have my water, everything, but still I'm not happy. I don't have my privacy. Okay, I want to go and have my own some self-compound where nobody will trouble me. And I'm sure that when I have that, I'm going to be very, very happy. So by nature's own arrangement, you get your own self-compound, 3 bedrooms with everything in there. After staying there for 2 years, the landlord comes and tells you, please, last month it was 2,000 Ghana cedis a month. Last 2 years, now everything is so expensive, so I want to increase it from 2,000 to 3,000. If you're not interested to continue, please, somebody is looking for the house. Whatever you want to do, quickly tell me, I'm giving you only 3 days. You pay 2,000 a month now, they want to take 3,000. And so, what is the meaning of all these troubles? I am not happy. This kind of environment is not very conducive for me. So why not me trying to have my own house? If I have my own house now, it'll be better. Nobody will come and tell me the years are ended, you have to pay something. Now you'll be thinking that having your own house will give you happiness. Yes, you think that you will be happy after having your own house. But after having your house for some time, you begin to think that even the house is too small. Now I have a wife, I have kids. When I have my in-laws visiting me or some family members visiting me, there is no guest room for them. So what do? Maybe I have to go and get a bigger place so that I can receive some guests. See, what I'm trying to say here is, all the things in this world that we think will give us happiness will never give us happiness. Some of us, maybe we have to be entering trotro all the time because we don't have so much money. So we think that the trotro is not giving us satisfaction. We are thinking, okay, if I can be taking Uber all the time, at least I'll be very happy. By God's grace, you have some money with you and you want to be taking Uber all the time. But after some time, you think, why will I be taking Uber all the time? Or boat or Yango? I'll be very pleased if I can get my own small motorbike. That will save me right. So you try your best, get the motorbike. You become very happy. Now I don't have to be using boats. I have my own motorbike that will take me wherever I want to go. After using a motorbike for some time, when it's raining now, the rain will beat you. I mean, the drivers, those who are driving their own cars, Ghana especially, we don't even regard the Okada riders. People want to kill you. Say, oh, even this Okada or motorbike is not very safe. If I can get my own car, it's going to help me. You get a car, you're very happy, you think it's going to help you. After some time, you'll begin to yearn for something else. So all that I'm trying to say here is, in fact, even though at times we think that if we're able to amass the whole world, we'll be happy. But the truth is that the world can never give us any satisfaction. The reason being that this material world cannot satisfy the real self, the real you. It can only give some satisfaction to this body because this body is made up of material elements. But you, the spirit soul, you are not of this world. Okay? So the whole point is we have to strive for something that will give us satisfaction. And here, Narada Muni is told by Brahmaji that the information about the Supreme Lord is what is going to give you nourishment. The messages of the Lord, that will give you satisfaction. That will give you fulfillment. And I want to speak about the pastimes of the Lord. In fact, this is our material world. Many a times, people say a lot of things about the material world. Today, I was listening to His Holiness Keshava Swami Maharaj, and he was saying that when people, many people talking about the material universe, then I said that the material world is like a prison house. At times, we say the material world is like a hospital. At times, we say the material world is like a school. So in any of this analogy, you'll be able to understand the world in a serious way. So those of us that see the material world as a prison house, that understanding should tell us that all the prisoners in the prison house might have committed an offense, one or the other. So finding ourselves in this material world means that somehow or the other, we have committed some evil deeds. That's why we were sent to this material world. And if we committed some wrong before we were sent here, then how do we rectify ourselves so that we can go back to Godhead? And then if we still understand that the material world is like a hospital, then it means that somehow or the other there's some unhealthiness, some ailment, some illness within us. And as soon as you find out that you are not well, you begin to look for medication. You begin to look for treatment. So how do we get treatment from this material world? And when we feel or we understand that this material world is a school, then that should tell us that somehow or the other we are all having some level of ignorance. And if you are an ignorant person, you have to look for somebody who can enlighten you. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in all the scriptures, it is said that vidi paripatena pariprasena sevaya upadishantete gyanam gyane. That's in the heart, which means that we should try as much as possible to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. And when we approach him, we must try to serve him, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. And when the spiritual master is pleased with us, then he will impart knowledge unto us because he has seen the truth. So here, Brahmanji is telling Naramuni, you have approached me as your spiritual master, so I want to give you the message that will keep you satisfied and fulfilled. So in Krishna consciousness, our system is that every day in the morning, after our morning church programs, we attend Bhagavatam class, where a speaker will read from Srimad Bhagavatam and give narration about the Supreme Lord. We discuss in the temple, and afterwards, devotees are allowed to ask questions from the speaker. In all our temples, in the evening, after the evening worship, there is another class called the Bhagavad Gita class. There will be a speaker. The speaker speaks from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and then the audience will have the chance or the privilege of asking questions at the end of the day. Because we know that if one can be fulfilled in life, if one can be satisfied in life, there's only one way that one can get satisfaction or fulfillment, and that is hearing the message about the Supreme Lord. The material world is able to give you some little satisfaction. The material world is able to give some little fulfillment. The material world is able to give some little happiness. But trust me, if you are looking for an unending fulfillment satisfaction, the material world is unable to do that, because you are spirit soul, not part of this world. You are part and parcel of the Most High, who is the absolute spiritual being. So a spiritual being looking for pleasure, looking for happiness, looking for satisfaction or fulfillment in material or matter, is not possible. If you go to the ocean and you take any fish from the river, you bring the fish to the house and provide a golden bed for this fish, prepare wonderful meal for this fish, give wonderful boutique dresses to this fish. This fish will never be happy, because the natural habitat of the fish is the water. So no matter what you provide, a fish outside of water will never be happy. So you and me, we are spiritual beings, part and parcel of God. No matter the level of the material accomplishment, no matter the level of material acquisition, no matter the level of our endeavor in the material world, we will never, ever attain fulfillment or satisfaction. From time to time, we will experience some temporary satisfaction or fulfillment, but those satisfaction will never last. You know why? Because this material world is dukkha swatam. God Almighty created this world to be a place of misery and temporal. Okay? This material world is a place of misery. And it's not just a miserable place, but it is also a temporal situation. That is why no matter how rich you are, one day you get sad. Something happens to you. Maybe you lose some business contract. Maybe your car gets burned. You lose something and you become sad, no matter how rich you are. Okay? No matter how poor you are. One time something happens to you, you become very sad. So the material world is a place of misery, and also is temporal. So because of this, all scriptures, all spiritual books encourages us to have our property safeguarded in the spiritual world. Because where you have your property, that is where your heart lies. So my dear, wonderful devotees and friends, what I would like to say before I end this discussion for you to ask a question is, this material world will never give you full satisfaction. It is not possible. This material world can never, ever give you full fulfillment. Even though you can experience some little satisfaction here and there, the real satisfaction that will make your soul happy cannot be attained here. So we should struggle do business, get married, do all the things here. But we should have it here that if we really want to be happy, fully fulfilled, we can only get that when we are dovetailing all our activities in pleasing the Supreme Lord. By so doing, we will get the real pleasure and satisfaction we'll be yearning for all these years. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Jana Prabhu. Very beautiful explanation of the text. And dear devotees, if anyone may have a question, something that you need clarification on, you may raise your hand, either your physical hand or you use the emoji hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, while we wait others to ask questions, Prabhuji, if you may attempt to give a little bit more explanation as to why in spite of having anything and everything we would want to have in life, if we do not have God, we still will not be fully fulfilled. Why that is the case?
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I'm very much aware that you asked this question to benefit all the other devotees here. Yeah, the truth of the matter is, without God, there is no full satisfaction or full fulfillment. You, me, anyone listening to me, or all the human beings, all the living beings in this material world, we are part and parcel of God. We are part and parcel of God. The duty of the part and parcel is to render service to the whole. For instance, this is my body. The eyes are part and parcel of the whole body. My hands are part and parcel of this body. My mouth, my legs, these are all part and parcel of this whole body. The duty of this hand is to serve the body. The duty of the legs are to serve the body. The eyes, the nose, the ears, the part of the body is meant to serve this body. So when the hand decides not to serve the body, the hand will end up dead. And as soon as these parts of this body is removed from the body, is severed from the body, automatically it becomes dead. So this wonderful hand can do so many wonderful things. But as soon as this hand is removed, then there's no life to the hand anymore. So the point is that there is no way we can become satisfied or fulfilled if we, as part and parcel of the Supreme Being, we are not connected to Him by serving Him. You see, it is very difficult for one to understand God. So many a time we fabricate our own philosophy, thinking that these philosophies will make us happy. But every now and then, the little happiness, the little satisfaction we get, it gets to a point and we are no more interested. The truth of the matter is that these things cannot satisfy us because we are not this body. We are the spirit soul. The spirit soul is spiritual. So it is only spiritual understanding that will be able to nourish this spiritual being. So probably if you ask me, the whole point is that we should understand that it is the duty of the part to serve the whole. When the part refuses to serve the whole, there's no enjoyment, there's no happiness, there's no satisfaction. And we are part and parcel of God. So without service to God, without we getting connected to God, there is no way we can see happiness. Trust me, those who think and claim that there's no God and are not ready to serve God, you might think that probably they have everything, they possess everything, but deep down their heart, they have no fulfillment. There is no satisfaction. There is no pleasure. The little enjoyment here and there does not last. That's why they keep on hankering, thinking that by adding more to their material belongings, they will have full fulfillment. So they keep on fighting and fighting until one day when death comes and take them away. You ask yourself, maybe you are looking for just $10,000 and you'll be very happy. Some of you, maybe that's what you're thinking. If I can have $10,000, I'll be very happy. But you ask yourself, those who are having $100,000, are they happy? No. You might be thinking, okay, if I can get $10 million, I am done. But you ask yourself, those who have $10 million, are they happy? They are not. So what I'm saying here is that material things can never satisfy you or me. It can give some little pleasure. It can give some little satisfaction, but it cannot give you eternal or permanent satisfaction because you yourself, you are not this body, but the spirit soul. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the explanation. Thank you. I'm very pleased with the answer.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anyone else with something to share or to ask? Well, it seems everybody is very much satisfied with what you shared. You know, sometimes
they have plenty of questions. Don't worry, they will ask. They have plenty of questions. I know.
Lucy, Miss Lucy, please, you may unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am wondering, is it possible to spiritually also attain satisfaction? Because the spirit is living within us, the material body. The material body is limiting the spiritual aspect of us. At the same time, the material body is limiting because, like you mentioned, whatever we do, we might attain a little bit of happiness, but eventually it kind of dies down. So how do we also fulfill that spiritual attainment that we know we are satisfied? Because I work a lot in the hospital, and it looks like the only time people are spiritually satisfied, not all of them, is when they're about to die. So is that the only option for us? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, Mami Lucy, thank you very much. I get your question. Yeah, see, that's the point. It is very, 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 very scarce, difficult to find somebody who is fully satisfied because unfortunately, many people, most of us, we are not connected properly. You see, let me give you an example. When you have an electric plug in your house and you have a light bulb in the socket, and somehow or the other, the bulb is not connected properly with the positive and the negative in the socket. At time light comes, you're very happy sometimes, then a little blowing of air shakes the bulb and it goes off again. So you be in the room, maybe 2-3 hours, there's a light. Then the little shake of the bulb, then light goes off. So in the material world, the intermittent happiness and distress is part of the material life. But those who are able to connect to their real self, their spiritual aspect of their being, and fully connected, not shakingly connected, but fully connected, trust me, they don't know heaven, they don't know hell, they don't know sickness, they don't know happiness. They don't know anything. The only thing they know is they are connected to their source. There are people like that. They don't depend so much on the body. Even when the body fails them, they are still fully connected and they are fully satisfied or fulfilled within. So when somebody is about dying, that's when most of the time they become a bit fulfilled. At that time, if they are able to concentrate within, that's a little fulfillment as a health practitioner. You will see when somebody agrees to the fact that, okay, my time is up, I have to leave, I have to go. When they accept that situation, within that short possible time, if you are a health attendant, you will experience some kind of glowing on their face. You will see that somehow or the other, they are happy within because they accept the fact that it's a time for them to leave and they are ready to leave. Just for the fact that they agree to this arrangement of their time being up and they have to leave, just by understanding this, they become a little bit happy. So the truth is that it is not very easy for anybody to have permanent fulfillment or satisfaction unless the one is fully connected to the source. And the source is spirituality. Trust me, spiritual life gives maximum happiness, maximum fulfillment, and maximum satisfaction. Because Krishna consciousness and Krishna movement has helped so many of us to interact with a lot of wonderful devotees. And when we are speaking of situations like this, it might sound like a story to you. But trust me, there are people who are fully fulfilled, satisfied. Those who don't desire anything for their own personal aggrandizement. There's no gratification to their senses. They are not. If they desire for anything, that desire is to please God. They don't desire anything for their own personal aggrandizement. So my dear, it is possible, even though it's very, very difficult. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that among thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. One may endeavor for full satisfaction, full fulfillment. But among thousands and thousands of those people who feel that they have attained that level of realization, hardly one person or 1% knows him, God, as he is. So there are so many people out there claiming to be connected to God, but trust me, in the reality, only a very small percentage of personalities that really have connection with the Supreme Lord. So yeah, it is possible for one to become spiritually fulfilled, satisfied, that you don't need anything, that anything you look for is not for your own personal gratification, but to please God or to please humanity. So it is possible that you, Sister Lucy, you can get to that point. See, those of you that have been chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That short time you recited prayer, just pay attention and you see the kind of satisfaction you have within your heart. Tell me, you know, when you have time, pay attention. In a very serene atmosphere, when there's no too much noise, you take your shower, you sit down, you close your eyes, and you recite Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just do for only 5 minutes. And you see the level of fulfillment you have the whole day. The level of satisfaction, the happiness within your heart is unimaginable. It is because we are spiritual within. We are material externally. So this kind of contradiction is always limiting us. But the truth of the matter is that the spirit soul cannot be limited. No, it cannot. But the spirit soul will play along whatever he wants to do. So if you want to tune back your understanding, that you want to connect back to the Most High, why not? Fulfillment is possible. And there are many, many great souls who are very fulfilled, very satisfied. They don't need anything. All that they aspire for is to please God and nothing else. Thank you, Sister Lucy, for that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the explanation. There are a few questions in the chat room. I think there may be two that I might be able to join them together. One is, how can an ordinary soul attain this fulfillment we're talking about? And the other person is also asking, how can we be fully connected?
Okay, so the connection first, then fulfillment. You can only get fulfillment when you are connected to your source. We are 3 in 1. This is our gross body. And this gross body is made up of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. All these gross elements will go back to where they came from at the point of death. When we sleep and dream, we see ourselves in the dream. What we see in the dream is not the gross body. Because for instance, at times we dream seeing ourselves, say probably you are in Accra here and you find yourself in Togo. You know very well that you didn't sit in any car in the night. You are seeing Accra, but you find yourself in Togo. So the body you see in Togo, it's not your gross body. It is you, of course, but it is not your gross body, but your subtle body. The subtle body is made up of 3 elements: mind, intelligence, and force ego. So the gross body and the subtle body are all material, but the gross body is gross, and then the subtle one is subtle, it's metaphysical. But still, you are not neither of these 2 bodies. You are within the subtle body. So the gross body, the subtle body, and then the spiritual body. So the spiritual body is part and parcel of God. So how do you get the connection before you begin to think of fulfillment? In Christian consciousness, we give you the formula how to connect back to God. And this is it. There is something we call principles of freedom. These principles of freedom are very difficult to follow. But if you are able to follow them, you will attain freedom. So one of them is you have to become fully merciful. You have to possess mercy. That if you want to become happy in this life, you have to be very merciful. And you cannot be merciful if you harm people, you slap people, you beat people, you kill people, or you try to harm other beings. You cannot be merciful. So in Christian consciousness, no meat, no fish, no egg. Don't try to eat any flesh. Don't try to kill anything. Then there's another one we call one should be clean. Cleanliness. You cannot be clean if you engage in illicit sex here and there, that you don't control yourself. You have sex like an animal, like dog, like goat. Anywhere you see a man, you see a woman you want to have sex with. If you live that kind of life, you can never be clean. You'll be very dirty. Those of us, if you know somebody who is a whore or a hawker, a street hawker, somebody who is ashawo, when you see that person, how do you feel? If you are very sensitive to some subtle energy, you feel very unclean just by being around sex people. That's a level of uncleanness one gets himself into if one engages in sex life all the time. So if you want to become clean within and without, then you must try as much as possible to abstain from illicit sex affairs. If you want to do all this, it's possible because the bodies are doing it already. I'll tell you how to go about it. The third thing is austerity. You must be able to control yourself. If you don't control yourself, everything becomes difficult. And for you to be able to control yourself, you must abstain from anything that controls you. Things that controls you like alcohol, like weed, like cigarette. As soon as you take alcohol, no matter how gentle you are, you begin to misbehave. No matter how respectful you are, as soon as you get drunk, you want to do rubbish stuff. So if you want to control yourself, don't take in anything that controls you. So you must abstain from intoxication. And then you must be very truthful. If you really want to become happy in life, you must be truthful. There are many things you have to adhere to if you want to be truthful. One of them, you must abstain from gambling. Gamblers can never be truthful because people who gamble in life will always find ways and means to win. But if it means you have to lie to win, we want to do that. So we must remain truthful And by doing that, we must abstain from gambling. So no meat, no fish, no egg, no meat, no fish, no egg, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. These are the things one must be fully engaged in. We must tell ourselves that we don't want to do these things. If you don't do this thing, we call it principles of freedom. You want to attain freedom? Don't do these things, because if you follow this thing, you can never be free in life. Then we must constantly recite the holy names of God by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if you follow these principles of freedom and recite the holy name of God, you will get connected. It is so automatic. You will get connected. And as soon as you get connected, try to propagate this same philosophy. You must follow this up. Not, okay, now I'm connected, I can go back and do my own. No, you must be fully connected, recite the Maha Mantra all the time. And the more you recite the Maha Mantra, you end up cleansing your heart and your mind. And where the minds and the hearts become more cleansed, then we become fully connected. And as soon as we become fully connected, trust me, that's where the fulfillment and the satisfaction we are yearning for comes. If we don't follow these principles of freedom, if we are not fully connected to God Almighty, trust me, fulfillment, happiness, satisfaction is very far away from us. The only thing we're able to attain is some kind of small happiness here and there, which will always not be permanent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the answer. I saw one hand up, but it went down again. I don't remember the name. If you are there, you still want to ask your question, you may. But there is a question in the chat room, which I believe you've already answered. I don't know if the person asking the question would still hear from you. He's asking, says, how possible is it for one to detach from sinful ways and sustain the spiritual satisfaction?
Yeah, this material world is full of sin. This material world is like being on a boat, in the boat on the ocean, in the middle of the ocean where there's so much waves. It is not very easy. So if you want to remain alive, no matter how turbulent the ocean is, you must try as much as possible to remain in the boat. Okay? Those of you that have ever traveled with a boat before to foreign countries, or maybe those of you around the beaches where you have to be in the boat to go for fishing or whatever, I tell you, you get terrible turbulence, very terrible ones. But anyone that's okay, no, let me just jump into the ocean because the turbulence is too much. You die. You must remain in the boat. So the first thing is that you must constantly get yourself connected to God. By constantly getting yourself connected to God will keep you away from sin. It is not very easy for you to abstain from sin. Okay? It is not very easy because even sin personified is the external energy of God Almighty. It is not very easy, even though it's possible. So how do you abstain from sin? You don't necessarily try to fight against sin, but you try to engage yourself so well with the service of God, and automatically sin will not come close. If you surrender yourself to God by trying every way means possible to serve God, to please God, sin will stay away from you. And even if somehow or the other you get yourself involved with sinful life, God knows how to push you ahead. So what I would say is, you must get connected to God. How do you do that? I gave you the procedure. Following the 4 principles of freedom, chanting the Maha Mantra. Just by doing this and reading your PRABHU books, you will get connected and it becomes easier for you to abstain from sin. If you want to just work on abstaining from sin, it becomes difficult. But if you work on trying to become connected to God by serving God all the time, then you draw yourself far away from sin. So don't just go, okay, I want to fight against sin. You are thinking of sin. And the more you begin to think of sin, you end up committing sin. But if you want to be positive and say, God, I want to worship you, I want to serve you, give me ways and means to please you, my dear Lord. I want to be there for you. I want to serve you all the time. The more you are focused on being committed to God, by being surrendered to God, then gradually you will run away from sin. So this is the best way of doing it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Okay. Now, all right. Let me see. Roxanne has a question. If you raise up your hand, I'll see you and then I will unmute you. Roxanne, we'll prefer to hear from you rather than reading. Okay, so good. Now you may unmute.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Today I'm very happy. It's my first time. I'm very, very happy, and
Wonderful.
I think I will sleep very, very well. So I think he has spoken part of my question that what I wanted to ask is without material things, what can make one happy? He has mentioned about abstaining from unnecessary things and stuff, but if I abstain from those things, and what will make me happy without the material things? That is my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, a very good question, Mr. Roxanne. So the whole point is we cannot disown material things. We cannot, because we possess a material body. And this material body can only live and be sustained with material things. Okay? So you must eat. You must drink water. You must sleep. You must take rest. These are the needs for this, our gross body. And because you find yourself in this body, you must provide for this body. Because when the body is sustained, that's when you, the living being, you can be in the material world. Okay? So you must go to work. You must fight and get money. You must get a shelter. You must get clothing. These are very, very important things that every one of you here must try as much as possible to cater for the body, because this is for you. It has been given to you by God. And if you don't maintain the body in itself, it's a sin. If you don't maintain this your body in itself, it's a sin. So you must maintain this body. But the process and the manner of maintaining this body is of much importance. And the understanding behind the way and means that you will maintain this body is also of much importance. So let me give an example. A devotee of the Lord works hard to make money and buy a car and get a house. A non-devotee of the Lord also works hard, make money, buy a house, and get a car. Externally, we will say that they all have the same thing, the same achievement. But the understanding behind this achievement puts them in different categories. The non-devotee of the Lord wants to gratify his senses with the house, with the car, with the money, with all the material assets, thinking that, yes, I am the owner of these things, and these things were earned by my own endeavor. Let me enjoy myself. But the devotee of the Lord says that, yes, I work hard with this body to gain all this. But even this body in itself does not belong to me, it belongs to the Lord. So I must use all these material acquisitions in the service of the Lord. So with the understanding that the material acquisition doesn't belong to you, because even the body that you use to fight for this doesn't belong to you. And hence, you must use all these things in the service of the Lord. It makes you different from that person that thinks that he owns all those things and he can gratify his senses from those things. So yeah, a devotee eats and non-devotee eats. But the eating of the devotee and the eating of the non-devotee is not the same. The non-devotee eats because he wants to maintain his body to enjoy himself. A devotee eats because he wants to maintain the body so that he can serve God and humanity. Okay? A non-devotee buys a car and he goes to the pub to go and look for women or look for men to go and drink alcohol. And not a devotee of the Lord buys a car and he takes the car to godly places. He goes out to go and preach with it. He goes to the church. He goes to the mosque. He goes to the temple. So yes, two people buying a car, but the understanding behind this acquisition differs. So yes, you can be a spiritual person and be happy, even though you possess so many material assets. You may have a house, you can have a car, you can have all these things as a spiritual person. You can enjoy them. But the understanding behind this enjoyment is you are just a caretaker of all these things. So you have to make sure you use it in the service of God and humanity. But if it happens that God does not give you any of these things, you still remain fulfilled and be happy, knowing very well that whatever God does is the best for you. So a devotee does not lament and does not hanker. He does not hanker for anything. And if he has something and he loses it, he does not lament. Because a devotee knows that whatever situation I find myself, I am just going to be a temporal person on this earth. I must do everything possible so that when I leave here, I go back to God. So whatever asset nature decides to give me or not give me, I am okay. I want to live my life and go back to God here. Many a time we think that there are many things that we can't live without them. Now, how many of us here can live 3 days without taking their phone? How many of us? How many of us here will think that, okay, I can live for a whole 1 week, I will not take phone? How many of us can, truthfully say this? That for 1 week, I have a phone. Not that I don't have a phone, I have a phone. That is, my phone is active. I am not going to use this phone for a whole 1 week. How many of us? I thought we think that it is not possible to live without a mobile phone. But actually, about 50 years ago, there were no mobile phones. We were living. Now, if you have a very nice car, you can say that, okay, without this nice car, I can never be happy. I can't live my life. But before you had a car, you were living. So what I'm trying to say here is that a devotee can possess the whole world, but he understands that all these assets belongs to the Most High. And the best way of making good use of these things is use it in the service of the Most High. So yes, devotees will cook and eat. But when we are cooking, we are quiet, we take our shower first, we prepare the food in our minds. We want to prepare the food for God. After preparation, we have to offer prayer. My dear Lord, you own all the ingredients, the tomatoes, the pepper, the yam, everything you own it. I took this from your nature. The nature that does not belong to me is yours. My dear Lord, I combine these things to create fufu, bankuku, and whatever. Please accept it. And I know that when you accept this, my humble offering, it will help me to understand you. So a devotee eats, a non-devotee eats, but a devotee eating is sacrifice to God. But a non-devotee just eat only sin. So trust me, spiritual people can be happy with material things, but the understanding behind the usage of these material things, that makes the difference. Now, I am using an iPad to speak with you. You are using your mobile phone or your mobile device to watch me. This device is a material gadget. It's material. But because we are using this device to talk about God, even though it's a material device, it has become spiritualized. This same device we are using here, somebody might be using it to be doing pornographic something somewhere, going online, Google to go and watch some sexy stuff. You are using it now to listen to a message of divinity. So yes, it's a material device, but you have spiritualized it by using it in this proper way. So yes, a spiritualist can possess everything in this world, can have all the cars, all the houses. You can have everything, and you will still use it in the service of the Lord and be happy. And if you're happy that you don't have anything at all, you will still remain happy because your happiness is not external. Your happiness is internal. So with or without it, you are still okay because the spiritual person is connected with God within. So if the external things are not there, you will draw happiness from within. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the explanation to the beautiful.
Prabhu, I have only 10 minutes. I have another meeting somewhere in the temple, so I have to rush and drive and go.
All right. So, dear devotees, if anyone may have a question. Okay. Shimavara Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry. Thank you very much for the nice discourse. This last question is very interesting. The person is asking, can one be happy without material things? You've explained very, very elaborately, but just one or two contribution I want to make.
Okay, Prabhu.
So he's insinuating that it is material things that make us happy, because his question is, can one be happy without material things? So first thing is that there are many material things that we possess that we do not derive happiness from, even though that's what we want. Like, for instance, you can buy a nice bed, maybe very expensive, everything, but then that does not necessarily guarantee that you will sleep well on that bed.
Yeah.
You may have insomnia, even though you have the most expensive bed. Money you can also possess, a nice house, but you're not happy inside the house. It's a material thing that you've possessed, you've acquired, hoping that you will get some happiness from it, but it doesn't guarantee it. So you may have a house and you don't feel like you're at home. You may have a nice. You may have many material things that do not really guarantee the happiness you're looking for. So that's one point I want to make. So material things are not actually the source of our happiness. They can give us some comfort, but not happiness. Now I'll give you another example. Our material needs can provide us some comfort and some ease. But beyond the material needs for the body, we also have psychological needs. These are the needs that we don't see. You cannot see with your eyes, like clothes, shelter, food. They are called psychological needs. So like love, like respect, like having varieties, and like, being loved and feeling important. These things, it's not sin, but they can affect your mind so deeply. When a child lacks love, it can die very easily. Many children die because of lack of love. But this is not something material you can see with your eyes. Some people, they want varieties, and they're just feeling so bored just because they need varieties. These are called psychological needs that you don't see with your eyes, but they provide higher kind of satisfaction than what material objects can give. Now, higher than psychological need is the spiritual need. And when we talk about spiritual need, it's not abstract. We're talking about your desire to feel eternity. You don't want to die. You don't want to die. That because naturally you are an eternal being. And your need for eternity, that nothing material here, no material object here can guarantee that. You may labor, toil so hard, but still that desire to live forever is there. And you're always afraid of death. So that is a spiritual need. How do you get that? How do you really guarantee that? And then you also, want to have unending joy, everlasting happiness. And there's nothing in this world that can guarantee you that. But that is your spiritual need, because it is the nature of the soul to always be in bliss, because it's part of God. God is always in bliss. So this is what we call spiritual need. Eternity, knowledge, the quest for knowledge. You want to know everything if possible. But then that desire, how can it be fulfilled? These are not material things. This is spiritual things. So this, because of your spiritual needs, are not going to be satisfied by material possession anyway. So that is why we have to make a quest for these spiritual needs, higher than psychological needs like love, variety, feeling important, and so on. But the spiritual need, the need for eternity, all religion talk about our eternal life, So this is our spiritual need. So we need it. We need to work for it. We need to work towards that. And that is what the whole discussion is about. Thank you very much. Just a small contribution.
Yeah, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was very deep and that was very, very nourishing. But thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your participation. And at this point, we're going to humbly request each and every one of you to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace JNANA CAKSUS Prabhu. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare.
Krishna Kalpa Hare
Yes,